It pulsed beneath his skin like a living ember trying to burn its way out. Panic surged through him as he stumbled backward, gripping his chest, but the glow only intensified, synchronizing with the strange rhythm vibrating through the town. Thrum, 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 as if answering a call that had always been meant for him. Around him neighbors pointed at the sky, children cried, dogs barked, and the old clock tower rang out of time, its bells clanging in frantic disharmony as the fracture widened, spiraling outward into jagged petals of light. The world seemed caught between awe and fear. Arien's best friend, Lyra, sprinted across the street, her dark hair whipping in the wind summoned by the cosmic disturbance, and she grabbed his arm with trembling fingers. "Arien, what's happening? You're glowing." He tried to respond, but words tangled in his throat as another shockwave rippled across the sky, shaking dust from the rooftops and sending ripples through the river like a great invisible hand had brushed the earth. The symbol on his chest flashed again, and suddenly he heard it, the same whisper from his dream, threading through the roar of the wind, speaking his name with a familiarity that made his bones feel hollow. "Arien, it begins." The sound wasn't frightening, it was sorrowful, weary, as if spoken by someone carrying centuries of regret. Then the light in the sky condensed into a single column that speared downwards and struck the old abandoned observatory on the hill with a sound like 1,000 chimes shattering at once. A blinding flare followed, illuminating every terrified face in the town. Arien shielded his eyes, but an invisible force pulled at him, tugging him toward the observatory as if the beam itself were a magnet and he its unwilling metal. Lyra pulled back, shouting at him to stop, but his feet moved on their own. His mind swirled with questions: why me? What is this light? What is happening to the world? But beneath all the confusion, something deeper stirred, a memory he couldn't access, an instinct like déjà vu whispering that this was not the beginning of chaos but the return of something long forgotten, something that had once been lost because of him. As Arien climbed the hill, the air crackled with static, lifting dust, leaves, and even pebbles into swirling orbit around his steps. People below watched in stunned silence, unsure whether to follow or run, but none dared to approach the blazing column of celestial fire crowned above the observatory dome. When he reached the entrance, the old metal doors, which had been bolted shut for decades, creaked open by themselves, groaning as though forced awake from a long sleep, revealing a corridor illuminated by the pulsing blue-white glow. The observatory smelled of rust and forgotten years, but the light washed over its dusty interior like a baptism, revealing intricate carvings on the walls Arien had never seen before, spirals, runes, constellations, all radiating with faint life. His glowing chest resonated, tugging him deeper inside. A low hum vibrated through the structure as he descended the staircase toward the main chamber, where the giant telescope pointed eternally at the heavens. The air thickened with warmth as Arien approached the center of the room, where a floating orb of fractured light spun slowly, suspended above a stone pedestal. It resembled a shard of the sky itself, shimmering, broken, and breathtaking. The whispering voice echoed again, clearer this time, as if the orb had become its mouth. "You were chosen long before this lifetime. The fracture returns because the balance has been broken again." Arien staggered forward, compelled by a force as ancient as the cosmos. His heartbeat synced with the orb's pulses, slow, heavy, vast. Lyra's voice rang faintly from outside, pleading for him to answer her, but he couldn't turn back now. The orb brightened until its radiance swallowed the room. In the blinding glow Arien saw flashes, fleeting visions, of worlds burning, stars collapsing, towers of crystal rising from oceans of shadow, a colossal winged figure falling from the sky, and himself standing at the heart of it all, hands ablaze with the same symbol etched on his chest. He gasped as pain lanced through him, but the voice soothed him like a parent comforting a fearful child. "You will remember soon. You must. The sky has broken, and only those bound by the ancient mark can restore what was lost." And with a final surge of light, the orb shot into Arien's body like a meteor, knocking him to the floor. The ground shook violently. The observatory trembled. The fracture in the sky outside flared brighter than ever. Then everything went black. Arien awoke to darkness, not the gentle darkness of night, but a vast, swallowing void that stretched in every direction, thick like liquid shadow and echoing faintly with distant whispers that weren't quite sound, more like thoughts brushing against his mind. For a moment he felt weightless, drifting in a dream that wasn't a dream, suspended in a cold emptiness that pressed against his skin like fog. Then a faint glow ignited beneath him, illuminating a circular platform made of smooth stone etched with spiraling lines that pulsed softly like veins filled with starlight. Arien pushed himself upright, Groaning as the memory of the blinding orb hit him like a tidal wave, he had collapsed, the observatory had shaken, the sky had cracked wider, and then nothing. Now he stood in a realm that felt both unborn and ancient, a place where time itself hesitated between breaths. As he steadied himself, a soft wind swept across the platform, carrying with it faint voices, some crying, some chanting, all overlapping as though echoing from countless timelines. The darkness parted, not by light but by awareness, and shapes emerged, towering monoliths formed from shimmering mist, each engraved with symbols identical to the glowing mark on Arien's chest. He instinctively reached for the warmth beneath his shirt, but froze when he realized the symbol now glowed through his skin like fire etched into flesh, its lines pulsing rhythmically, syncing with the humming air. "Do not fear," whispered a voice behind him, gentle, broken, familiar in a way that twisted something deep in his heart, and when Arien turned, he stumbled back at the sight of a figure materializing from the shadows, shaped from swirling threads of starlight. The figure resembled a man, tall and cloaked in fragmented light that flickered like dying embers, but his face was blurred, as if existence itself struggled to hold his form together. "You've come farther than I expected," the figure murmured with a tired sadness, each word rippling the darkness around them. "The fracture has awakened, and so have you, Arien." The mention of his name struck him with the weight of familiarity he did not understand. "Who are you?" Arien demanded, but his voice barely carried, absorbed by the void. The figure stepped closer, light warping around him like broken reflections. "I am called Cowboy, last keeper of the Celestium, and once, long ago, your mentor." Arien recoiled. Mentor? Yet some part of him knew the name, like a forgotten song whose melody lingered even when its words were lost. Cowboy stretched out a hand, and the platform beneath them responded, rising through the darkness until an entire realm unfolded around them, an impossible horizon of floating islands bound by bridges of shimmering energy, rivers of pure light flowing through the air, and above it all a massive celestial crack splitting the void like a wound that bled silver fire. Arien's breath hitched. It was the same fracture that had torn open the sky in Alistria, but now he saw its true scale. It wasn't just a tear, it was a collapsing gate, a broken seam between realities. "This is the astral nexus," Cowboy said softly. "The place where all worlds echo one another. Where the first guardians once wove harmony into the fabric of existence. Where you once stood beside them." Arien's heart pounded. "You're wrong," he insisted, though his voice quivered. "I'm just a boy from a quiet town. I've never been here." But Cowboy's dimming eyes told him otherwise. "You have," he said. "Many lifetimes ago, you were one of the radiant bound, chosen bearers of the celestial marks. But when the Great War shattered the Skyforge, your memories were sealed and your soul cast into the mortal realm, bound to return only if the fracture ever opened again." Arien backed away, shaking his head. No, that's impossible." Yet the symbol on his chest pulsed harder now, resonating with the luminous rivers flowing through the air, and the nexus itself trembled, as if recognizing him. Cowboy's form flickered violently as the crack above them expanded with a thunderous roar, sending shockwaves through the realm. "There is no more time," Cowboy warned. "The fracture grows because the Shadow Sovereign stirs again. If it widens fully, reality will collapse, and every world, including yours, will fall into oblivion." Arien stepped forward despite the fear clawing his insides. "Then tell me what to do." But Cowboy looked pained. "The celestial mark awakens your power, but it also awakens your past. To heal the fracture, you must reclaim what you were. But be warned, your memories are not gentle. They hold truths that break the mind and scars that even time can't soothe." The realm shook violently again. Cracks of darkness split across the sky, raining fragments of lost constellations. Cowboy staggered, his light sputtering. "Go, Arien, follow the echo path to the Chamber of Origins. It will show you the first piece of what you have forgotten." The stone platform beneath Arien lit up, forming a radiant path extending into the churning horizon. "Hurry, I cannot hold this realm together much longer." Arien hesitated, torn between terror and destiny, but the echo path pulsed beneath his feet, urging him forward. As he took his first step, Cowboy's fading voice echoed behind him, soft, proud, mournful. "And Arien, when the time comes, you must choose. Save your world, or save the truth." The path dissolved into brilliant light, pulling him forward into a wave of memories not yet his, and the world of shadows and starlight shattered behind him as Chapter 2 came to its breathless close.